welcome to my channel. Well, this is going to be kind of a rambly video, but I thought I'd have some knives in the background for you to look at. Now I'm going to do a review on all of these, you know, in the future, but I'm not going to get into the total history of Queen knives, but originally, you know, they were made in America, and then a different family took them over, I think like the Daniel family. And some say the quality started going downhill. And then, this is brief, you know, it's not super accurate. And then the name and everything else was going, was sold, and Smoky Mountain got a hold of it and started manufacturing the knives over in China to begin with, but they still had, you know, the rights to the name, and they're going to start manufacturing them in the United States. I think they already are, but these are the China ones, and this kind of goes along with that series that I was doing about easy open one-handed knives. You know, this is the reason why I got this one. I hadn't even done that easy open video, I think. I hadn't even started number one when I ordered this. But the thing I like about these are, yeah, they're made in China, and if you look at the Delrin or the Bone, I think these are Bone. Yeah, this is Bone. The way they're done, the American version was better, but for what you get and the price that it costs and everything. And these come in 440C steel. You know, like this is the one that's got the awl on it and everything. But I like 440C. I think I put a convex on this. Look at that. You can tell. Look at how that bevels. I put that on the sander. See how a belt, if you don't watch it, it won't get it exactly even. I kind of learn, see, these are inexpensive knives. I kind of learn on inexpensive knife sharpening, because if you screw it up, see, imagine like, say this is at most, you know, a $20 knife. If this was a $60 or an $80 knife, or a $100 knife or something like that, or a $600 knife, would you want to do that? Probably not. So, I mean, that's kind of one of the things. The thing is sharp, though. And that, if you look at a lot of old knives, you'll see patterns like that, because really, people didn't learn. I was thinking about the evolution of things. You know, like some people deny that evolution happens, but it's true that it happens in everything, basically. You know, even knives, even though they're not biological, a lot of times they evolve. That was going to be like a separate topic, you know, ramble, is knife evolution, you know, when they evolve. Now, this is a problem for me a lot of times when I'm ordering knives, because I try to keep all my Barlows together, but you know, they run around. Sometimes I like them out here just to see, because otherwise, if you store everything in a box and it's in a closet or something like, yeah, you've got it, but I mean, you don't look at them, you don't see them, you know. If you use them every day, fine, but you know, if you get to where you have a lot of knives, you can't use them every day, and some of them I don't want to use. I just look at them. Yeah, you know, that's the height of I guess excess or whatever, is to have something just to look at. But that's what art is. You know, so who knows? You know, some people buy cars the same way. They have just a bunch of cars. So, but I know I got this before, but it was in a giveaway. And so, you know, if you're looking, you're going, don't I have one of those? No, a lot of times I get something for a giveaway, and I don't know whether I'm going to like it or not. And I wind up saying, wow, I like that. It's different. I like that pattern. And some people may or may not like 440C, but I like that steel. I know how it's not the greatest edge holding, retention, everything, but it's fairly stainless, and it can get fairly sharp pretty quickly. So, you know, there's that. And then if you watched like one of the topics of RJ's live last week, it was kind of like naming knives. And this one's called a Hap Whittler. And they were getting into the topic of that. You know, what name do you go with and everything. Well, the boxes you get on these Queen knives, there's your description. You know, WB is for Winterbottom, but there's not much else. You know, it's magnetic box and everything. Fairly large for what you get. But what makes up this and what makes up that? You know, I usually go with whatever the manufacturer says, and a lot of times they're wrong. But if it's a Wharncliffe and they call it a sheep's foot, then hey, that's what I'm going to tell people they call it. Because if you go searching for Wharncliffe under that and it's described by the manufacturer as a sheep's foot, you're not going to find it. So what I was talking about as evolution, or thinking about evolution of knives, is, you know, we have traditional patterns, and a lot of times, I know Smoky Mountain will do this. They'll go into old knife catalogs and stuff and take patterns that are not available anymore and to try to bring them into production. And I think that's pretty good, because that's a kind of a case where a knife isn't really evolving. You know, I mean, well, it is in a way. See, this is kind of like a modern traditional, because 440C's in there, and at one time 440C was a super steel. You know, it was something fancy smancy. So yeah, and you know, people look at it now. I was thinking about that also with two things. All right, flashlights. You know, originally we had torches. It was originally a stick somebody pulled out of a fire and said, "Hey, look, I can carry the fire with me and see." It was inefficient. It wasn't very, you know, it directed the light and everything, but we evolved from that to incandescent lights where we got batteries, you know, and the batteries were heavy, man. A lot of these people that talk about grams and everything, they used to take like a 6-volt battery. They'd measure things in pounds and strap a light, you know, like a car headlight on it. If you're fancy, you got the little flashing, blinking red taillight one. And then it was basically simple. It turned on, but man, they sucked up the power, and they were heavy. You had handles or a strap to carry this stuff, not a holster. And people complain about, you know, it's evolution. Lights evolve. Also, I was thinking about this with warfare. You know, it used to be the more sophisticated device you got, the more money you sank into it, the more expensive it was. You know, you see where this is going. You've got to be rich. The same way with like torches. Why were torches so prevalent and everything? Because they were easy to make and available. You know, when things went to electricity, most people don't know how to make electricity. I know how to make a crude battery. I mean, but still, generating electricity is usually beyond the capacity of most people. They just take for advantage. You know, take for granted that they're going to be able to plug something into an outlet or pop a battery into it and the thing will work. And that's where, you know, the primitive technology stuff works better. But like with warfare, advanced stealth aircraft, advanced tanks, advanced everything, and then what comes along? Drones. Now originally drones were expensive again too. You know, you had to know how to make one. You need satellite communication, you know, to link it so you can pilot it from across the world and everything else. And meanwhile, I don't know if this actually happened because of this or they had an inside thing, but in Call of Duty, one of the streaks you would get is an RC car and strap explosives to it. Now, this is nothing new. In World War II, they would strap explosives. They had an experiment where they would strap explosives to dogs and have them run up to tanks and blow up. It's kind of cruel, yeah. But drones, inexpensive drones. are changing warfare now. You know, and it's the reason is it's because of the accuracy. It's the accuracy of it. You know, used to be in World War II when they wanted to bomb, say, like a ball bearing factory or whatever, they'd have to send up hundreds of planes, you know, and drop thousands of bombs and carpet bomb something. You know, they're looking for, let's say, this factory. And this is residential and, you know, just a city. What you would expect to see in a city. And to get this, man, they'd have to, you know, level everything. And as accuracy started increasing, they could start targeting more than, you know, rather than wiping out all the other things, they could start targeting just the building. And with drones, you've got something that's inexpensive, readily available, and could carry any payload. You don't have to have a satellite, you know, because you're not trying to fly it from across the world. You're within kilometers, you know, of your target. And yeah, they're going to find countermeasures to it, just like anything else. You know, that's being piloted by an electromagnetic signal, and all you've got to do is get on that signal, find that frequency, and jam it. And nothing flies. You know, it can't send back data to you. It can't receive signals. It can't send signals. You know, they know this. They have jammers out there and stuff for this. But what I'm saying is, though, something inexpensive like that has evolved to take out millions of dollars worth of equipment or hit one person. You know, like one guy, the machine gunner or whatever. He's up there and he's really covering this hill and making life difficult for somebody, and the people are being taken away from it. Like I said, it used to be you had to have hundreds of bombers and everything. Then you got to where you got one aircraft that's got accurate, you know, but he still had to fly over. Then they had standoff weapons, which are further away, and then they get drones where there's people involved, but they're not really there, you know, they're not in the vehicle. So the risk for them is greatly removed compared to what's going on. And so it becomes less up close and personal and more just anybody, you know, could do this. So I don't know where I'm going with it, with warfare and flashlights and everything. But with flashlights, because the other method is inefficient, we tend to drop them. You know, very few people use incandescent lights now because, like I said, the batteries are heavy, they're inefficient, they suck up power. The lights that carry them have got to be heavy. The light they put out is dismal compared to LEDs. You can tailor make LEDs to do all kinds of. We kind of forget all that. But the old incandescent ones didn't require a computer to work. You know, it's just a simple switch circuit. And the batteries, they leaked a lot and everything else. But they were, you know, everything evolves. Just like lithium batteries. People are going to look back at those and go, why would you guys carry something like that that's so dangerous and so has? Because nothing else was available. You know, the people that carried torches didn't have LED flashlights, so they made do with sticks and stuff and what they did because, you know, they didn't know how to make electricity. With knives and their evolution, we know how to make better steel and everything, but it's a matter of, after a while, it stops looking like a traditional knife. And if your reason for having a traditional knife is because of nostalgia, or you just find they work well, you know, I mean, a lot of them are tailor-made for specific task. You know, I can't resist opening this one. This is like a giant spade blade. It's got half stock. But look at the size. This guy's a monster. Yeah, I like different patterns and everything. This is almost like a doctor's knife, but it's huge. It's almost like a toothpick, but it's not, you know, curved, and it's almost like a lot of things. That notch is really, this really makes it easy to grab that, and the nail nick is right there. I mean, so two easier opening. You still would need, like 2 hands to open this. This is really not made for, I mean, you can do this. You can start levering it, but again, it's got a back spring on it. I mean, yeah. Watch me cut myself on TV. On TV? What's TV? No, I mean on video. What's video? Well, I mean tape. What's tape? What's film? Yeah, everything evolves for a reason. A lot of it's primitive and archaic, but it was because usually it was easy to do with primitive tools and stuff. But as things evolve, built by hand, a lot of times produces things that are not as efficient as a machine. Now, that's not always true. Machines have to be maintained and set up properly, or even machines are not going to produce perfect things every time. In materials, it makes a difference, what kind of bone you were using. Are you using beaver bone or badger bone? It might be different than cattle bone or oxen or, materials make a difference. And before, people really didn't question a lot of this stuff. I mean, you're making something from a file. Well, it's hard. It's probably too hard for what you want, so you're going to have to anneal it a little bit. But people made do with what they had. And when these go to be made in America, they'll probably cost more. They'll probably change the steel. They might try to modernize them. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I hope not, because there's only so many antique knives that you can find out there that are in decent shape. I mean, they're out there. They're available. I mean, but you take your chances with these. And some people like that. That's part of the challenge. You fix them and everything else. Or you partially restore them. And you can get a good value out of it. So I have mixed feelings about. I would like to see most of our knives being made in USA, but with still good quality and everything else, and not super expensive. All right. That's usually. You don't want to forget. This is the introduction to for a lot of people into knives, is usually an inexpensive knife, something that a collector wouldn't look at, like an M-Tech or something else, or I don't know what modern people would do. But for me, this is not the one, but for me, it was a Sabre made in Japan knife, and back then, made in Japan did not have the same connotation that it does now. Like you can think of it as like, ooh, quality. For cameras, I believe they had a good reputation back then, but not necessarily so much for knives. And it's kind of odd. You would think, Japanese steel, swords, they would know what the hell's, it should be in their blood, basically. It'd be easy to find somebody to know how to make a knife. But these are pretty good, but they were inexpensive. Jigged plastic, Delrin. I don't know if it ever said Sabre on there, but you could put, your initial. You could see, look, it's just pinned. There's your bolster. It's just something driven through and ting, pinned in place. But it worked. They're sharp as heck too, man. I mean, look at the hairs off a gnat's butt. They're that sharp. I don't know if gnats have hair on their butt, but anyways. Yeah, so there you go. Just a few preview of knives that are coming up and my thoughts about the evolution of things, the evolution of warfare, or stuff like that. With the big weapons, you don't need accuracy. You just take out everything. And with the inexpensive ones, you can go up against modern armies and give them a run for their money. Because, man, you talk about the noise of a mosquito being mad. Imagine how the sound in modern real life of above you. He's either reconning you or about to drop. Could be a mortar shell on you or a grenade. And what do you do, man? You gotta be good at unpredictable running. You know, don't run at the same pace. Zigzag. I don't know. Duck and cover. But yeah, warfare has never been. It's something most people try to avoid, but a lot of times it just comes up. It just happens, and you make do with whatever you got if you resist. You know, whatever is attacking you. And I think the side with the greater, like if you're being attacked in your own country, you've got a greater moral reason for fighting. You know, even I would be out there if somebody was, you know, had landed in Florida and was starting to work their way up through America, you know, coming towards Texas. There was rumors they were in the Gulf of Mexico and everything. Not much I could do, but I'd be ready for them, you know, if they came up to resist in any way. If they, but yeah, that's just there you go. I knew I was going to go off on some weird tangent, and sure enough, I did. But anyway, yeah, I like these. I like the, you know, still one of my most popular videos is our Rough Rider Knives Junk, my response. I still get comments on that one a lot of times where people agree or disagree, and a lot of times I have to go back and look at the video because I know what I think about it, but I want to see if it's still, you know, what did I say in there as my thoughts change, and it's still, no, you know, I like quality no matter where it's made, and I like value, and that's different for different people depending on your budget, you know. Something that's inexpensive to a rich person is different to somebody who's trying to squeak by, you know, and make it by. And that's another reason why I picked these up too to look at, is because they're inexpensive. And if you're cutting back and you're like, man, I sure wish I could get that $2,000 knife that I want, but you know, I can't afford it right now. Kids are whining, and the car needs repaired, and the dog needs to go to the vet. Well, you know, you can get something like this and just try to enjoy it, you know. Carry it around, use it, cut your steak up with it, neuter an animal, you know, if you're into that. Whatever you want to cut, you know, open up letters if nothing else, or boxes of other knives. Or bills for, you're past due, sir, on your credit card. You've bought too many knives. You can cut that letter open or whatever with this. Not that happens to me. See, I haven't had a credit card since 2011. I pay for everything. I either save up and get it, but I don't put it on credit. But anyway, thank you for watching, and have a nice